think it's the 12th, isn't it? Something like that. Of July 2025. And, well, I mean, I just mentioned the date for future reference in case you're not watching today, in case you're watching this at some point later. If you're looking for an understanding of how things were at this time here in Israel and with the geopolitical situation that Israel is in the middle of since years, namely the war between Israel and Gaza's Hamas terrorist organization and other terrorist organizations in Gaza. And what we have right now is a situation where President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu have essentially created a ceasefire agreement draft that the United States has proposed and that Israel has accepted with a few obvious definitions or clarifications of the conditions, which are completely reasonable, and which the Hamas has said that in theory they accept, but they want also, or they want to change some of the conditions. But that means that they don't accept it. So really, is neither Israel nor Hamas is actually going to accept it as it was originally drafted, and that means that there's going to be more editing of the draft concept plan for the ceasefire, which would be a 60-day ceasefire in theory at the current way that it's been drafted. But again, the problem with this ceasefire is, as I said from the beginning of it, it's dead in the water because from the very start, it's a failed proposition since it allows for Hamas to keep hostages after the 60-day ceasefire is over. After they've exchanged some of the hostages, dead and alive, they still get to keep some. And then there's supposed to be a permanent truce or a permanent ceasefire after that 60 days. So Israel's supposed to just leave some people behind, stuck as hostages forever in Gaza. That's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen, right? I don't think anyone with half a brain would understand. That's not acceptable. Would any army, would any government that's supposed to be caring about its citizens in the least bit, even a completely non-democratic country that pretends to care about its own citizens, would they accept leaving people behind like that in such nightmarish conditions? Obviously, the answer is no. Obviously, Israel can't just accept that. Obviously, this is going to be a fight that will drag on and drag on until either the Hamas is basically and effectively wiped out. And again, pretty much all of their top commanders have been wiped out multiple times at this point. Like all of their old school top commanders that were alive 2 years ago, they're pretty much all gone. And all the ones that replaced them over the past 2 years, many of them are gone too. And a bunch of the people that replaced them are gone as well. Like what happened to Hezbollah in a matter of days back in September and October, really mostly September of 2024, happened to Hamas over a period of now almost 2 years, a year and 10 months, a year and 8 months, whatever it is, or 9 months. And that means like 640 something days now already. And that means that there's no way that Hamas is the same fighting force as they were a year and 10 months ago. However, there's still a threat, right? To some degree. They still fire rockets at Israel occasionally, more than occasionally. And they still have the same crazy idea and ideals, and they still have the same leaders, for the most part, outside of the territory that still have the same money that they had before and the same capability to cause, chaos and devastation and death and destruction around the world. And they still have the same ability to keep channeling money into Gaza that they had before, because despite the fact that Israel has basically sealed off their borders, these people somehow still keep getting money into Gaza. Right? They still keep getting cash into Gaza. And sure, they're circulating it a lot, which is going around and around, but they keep getting more. How do we know? Well, because their economy, as bad as it is, still does in fact exist, right? Like there are still markets open and people are still spending money there. And one of the ways we know that happens is the UN gives money to the people there. They have these digital wallets. So again, the UN is complicit with Hamas. We know that. That's why the UN wants the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or the GHF, to stop supplying aid directly to the people of Gaza. Because God forbid anyone should help the people of of a war-torn affected area. No, only the UN can do that. It's ridiculous. There are plenty of aid organizations in Gaza. Why should the UN be the only one to do it? Why can't GHF do it, since they actually secure the delivery to the people? Whereas the UN makes sure the delivery goes right to Hamas, and they help the Hamas store the things illegally. Anyway, so the situation, as I had told you from the beginning, is that the ceasefire is pretty much dead on the until they resolve this issue with the hostages, and that's not a thing that you can compromise on. You can't just let people stay hostages forever in the hands of the most vicious, brutal enemies who are doing God knows what to them, and we know what they're doing to some of them, and it is disgusting and evil. And Israel is not going to accept. I mean, I cannot think of a government of Israel that could accept that. And if they did, there would be a massive upheaval in the streets by the Israeli people, and they would vote out such a government ASAP. Because that's just not an acceptable thing that we would let our brothers and sisters stay forever in such hellish conditions. And it's already been too long. So expect that to be resolved before any real ceasefire ever goes permanent. All right, that's it. Peace.